What's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be a Faction Wars guide for the Sacred Order. I'm going to be going over the grades for all of the champions individually, also showing you the team that I used to 3-star full auto the last stage, and I'll also show you the footage of that run on 3-starring the last stage. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so first things first, let me fire up the team that I first cleared the stage with, and normally I lay this out in an infographic in all my videos and show all of the gear and everything that went into it. I recorded this footage a few weeks ago, and since then my team has changed a lot, and the gear for the footage that I have would not be accurate, so I ended up not doing it because I couldn't guarantee that the information in the infographic would be accurate. But I can walk you through the boss mechanics and the individual grades for everything, and the main gist of my team that cleared it is Sir Nick is obviously an amazing champion. He really does it all. Scales with HP, places shield, deals damage, places freeze on his A1, heals, just does everything. Cardinal is an epic champion that brings revive to the table, so if you happen to lose somebody, things go wrong, she can pick them back up. Martyr has an amazing aura and also counterattack, so much utility. Martyr, one of the best champions in the game for, context like this where you're trying to clear content and 3-star it. Armiger, one of the best free-to-play champion options in the game. He's an uncommon, super easy to max his skills and everything. Scales with defense, affects turn meter, a great uncommon champion. And then Cupidus has got an AoE A1. I believe I had him in a stun set in this run, so I can use him to crank out a bunch of CC and help suppress the opponents. But yeah, like I said, the team has changed a little bit throughout the last few weeks because I did summon Venus. Darth, microtransaction famously, pulled some shards for me on my account and got me Venus. So then I wanted to try out the Venus and Cupidus combo, which is also very good. But I did clear it before I had Venus with this team that you see right here with Sir Nick, Cardinal, Martyr, Armiger, and Cupidus. But now let's dive into the grades for each individual champion in the Sacred Order when it comes to Faction Wars. So here is that infographic that shows all of the champions and their grades in Faction Wars. And down below in a pinned comment, there's a link to my full comprehensive tier list where you can see this stuff. This data is just grabbed from that tier list. I clipped it into just showing Faction Wars for this video. But yeah, Venus, Sir Nick, Martyr, and Roshguard are super amazing in Faction Wars. They are endgame viable. They are the legendaries that you are looking for to really crank out amazing results in Faction Wars. But then the Sacred Order has some decent non-legendary options. You've got Phoenix is good. Cardinal is the big-time reviver that people use a lot in Faction Wars for Sacred Order. Then you've got Armiger as an uncommon, believe it or not. Probably the best uncommon in the game in terms of general account usefulness. Hope got a buff recently. She's all right. She's not amazing, but she's definitely usable in Faction Wars. A Mistress of Hymns is an undersold epic, very good. Romero, same thing. And Aethar. I want to talk about Aethar really quick because he does something, he brings something to the table that the more I try to 3-star all the factions in Faction Wars, I'm finding to be a very valuable part of the kit. So let me put that away for just a second and dive into Aethar. So Aethar has this A3 here that blocks cooldown skills, and you can book that to a 3-turn cooldown. Now, typically in Faction Wars, you're going to have a lot more speed than your opponents. Your opponents usually have somewhere between like 100 and 120 speed. So if you can get up to 200, 210 speed, you can get a lot more turns than them. So you can basically pick an opponent and just lock them down because it's a 3-turn cooldown and it locks them down for 2 turns, and you can cycle through your turns faster than they can, so you can just keep them locked down. So you find an opponent that has a really impactful ability and you just keep them locked out. So skills like this are very handy in Faction Wars, especially when you get up to 19, 20, 21, when you've really got to min-max and play the stage perfectly. I am finding that these block cooldown skills and provokes, anything that prevents them and stops them from getting their abilities off is very impactful towards the end stages of Faction Wars. But then as we go back to the grades here, yeah, any champion that is gold or green is going to be super endgame viable up to stage 21, can help you be in endgame teams. Then when you see the champions in the blue, those are champions that are going to be viable up till stage 18, 19, can get you pretty far. Then when you get into the light red, those are going to be champions that start to kind of fall out of favor when you get up to like stage 17 or 18. And the champions in deep red, you're basically never going to want to use. They just don't bring enough to the table to justify any sort of investment to bring value to your team. And now I want to move on to talking about the boss in stage 21, because that's a big deal to know what boss mechanics you're going to be going up against, because there are more than one Faction Wars boss. There's a bunch of different ones, red, yellow, blue, all sorts of different colors that represent bosses that do different things. So I'm going to put this away, but down in a pinned comment, I will have a link to these grades, this infographic, if you want to pull it up and take a look at it on your own time and whenever you want. So let's put this away and let's dive into the boss here. So you're going to be going up against the blue symbol boss in stage 21 of Faction Wars. Now, I grabbed this information from a forum post on Plarium's website. I will link to that as well, where it lists all of the abilities for the different Faction Wars bosses. So the blue symbol boss in stage 21 for Sacred Order, an A1 that is AoE with a 40% chance of placing a fear for 1 turn. So cleanse, block buffs, that type of stuff, going to be very good against this boss. Then we've got an A2 that revives dead allies with full HP. So this boss can actually revive the adds and minions that it has next to it. So you got to be careful about that. But when it does, it's going to place a sleep on itself for 1 turn. So you can use that as an opportunity to go ahead and focus down one of those adds and without interrupting the boss. So if you've got single target abilities, if you're not doing AoE, you can actually min-max it and prevent waking up the boss so that it wastes a turn and kind of gives you a chance to focus down the adds that it just revived. Then we get the A3, attack 1 enemy with 2 random allies, which is going to be the 2 adds that it has next to it. Place a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn if all allies are dead. So that way, the ability is still getting some utility even if the adds are dead. Allies joining the attack will obviously use their default skills. That's how these kind of abilities always work. And then it shows what the adds do. Simple AoE, and then just attacks 1 to 4 random enemies and ignores a certain percentage of defense. So, from what I found, as long as you've got a solid team with good gear and you really work towards investing in decent champions that are up there towards the top of the grading system, if I pull that back up, if you've got champions that are up in the gold, green, or some of the better ones up in the blue, if you've got good gear and you're manualing it, I found that the Sacred Order was one of the more manageable factions of the 13 factions. And I would say the easiest, for me anyway, were High Elves, Lizard Men, and Barbarians. And then Sacred Order would fall in that next tier, somewhere 4, 5, or 6 in terms of how hard it was for me to complete the faction. So let me get that stuff put away and kind of wrap up here. And I'm gonna take off, so I'm not just sitting here awkwardly on camera during the footage of my 3-star full auto run of the last stage. So if you want to see that in action, definitely stick around and check it out. And if not, I will leave a pinned comment with all the information you need, the tier list, the grades that I used here, the link to the forum post, so you can find all of that super easily in that pinned comment. So yeah, good luck in the Sacred Order Faction Wars. And as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Stick around if you want to see that footage. Peace.